yeah, it was really interesting to see how you cope managing so many people and managing so much space, and with the constant pressure of, oh, your scores need to go up, you need to do this,
Yeah,
you need
because
to do that. And you
people
just
can
felt like
rate
you were
you, right?
jumping.
When they go home after their holiday, they get like
Yeah.
an email in their inbox, and they get to fill
Yes.
out a questionnaire if they want to, of course, in which they can rate the entertainment, daytime, evening, overall entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have this pressure, but you don't want to give people on holiday the feeling that they will be rating you afterwards, of course, because it kind of takes away the magic from their
Yeah,
holiday
but you felt like
experience.
you were talking about it all the time, or at least I did. I don't know about you, but because you were trying to make sure that they knew that it was a thing. Because sometimes they would get back home and be like, "Oh, I've got
Yeah,
this thing. What do I do with it?" And you want them to know, but you don't want to be like pushing it down their throats. Like, you
yeah.
must put good scores in. Like, as you said, it ruins what you've done for them because you've put so much effort in the first place.
Yeah, I've
So
I've
yeah,
always
that was
thought this
a
is kind of a
challenge.
strange aspect of the job, pushing people, well, not really
Mm-hmm.
pushing, but asking people to fill out their questionnaire about it, because and these are my personal thoughts. It does kind of take away the how genuine you are as an entertainer. I feel for the entertainer I was.
Oh yeah.
So to be honest, I never really pushed them as much. Um, I did play like some jingles before or after a show, mentioning to people that there will be a questionnaire sent out, and if they want to rate us, they can do this. But to talk about it with the guests face to face, I only really brought it up once they brought up something along the lines of how can we let someone know that you're doing a good job, or if they said they wanted to let's say write a comment on TripAdvisor or something like this, then I would recommend them filling out the CSQs, as they were called, the questionnaire. But I've never been
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
a
Like
big fan of it,
that's
to
one that
be
I can
honest.
compare back to my first season. So when I was with that small agency in Cyprus, they pushed it a lot.
Mm,
To the point that we had like catchphrases that we had to say at the end of
yeah.
every single evening. So because we had arrivals every day, so you really, really pushed it. So when I came over to TUI, I knew I didn't want to do that anymore because I hadn't enjoyed being like, you must fill it in, you have to do this, Bob. Like, you don't want to be told that while you're on holiday. That's not what you want to do. Um, so when I came over, I knew that it had to be something that we focused on and it had to be mentioned, but I didn't want to be
Yeah.
pushing it down people's throats as much as I felt like I
But I
had
mean, from
before.
a company
Um,
standpoint, it does make
so
sense, because you do want to improve the quality of your services to your guests. So
of course.
it's not like we don't understand the value of people filling out these forms. It's just very strange to be the one and creating the service for the guests and asking them to fill it out. I feel like the time span between people experiencing their holiday and being back at home, maybe they've done their first day at work, getting an email, and like maybe if they would fill this out after one of the shows, they have to rate your shows, something along these lines, just as an example, would give maybe a more genuine impression of
Definitely.
what the actual
Like I feel
experience
like
was.
when we did that test season in Lanzarote last
When you
winter.
were in Lanzarote, you were trialing some new ideas over the winter that would be implemented for the summer following
Yes.
up, right?
Yeah. And that was a really good eye-opening experience because you were needing a lot more direct feedback to work out what we were doing was working for the guests. And we got those forms that we handed out before the evening entertainment and then got them to fill in as the evening entertainment went on and then collected all of them at the end. And once we had all of those, we had direct feedback for the first time, I think, in the whole time I've been doing this job. You got so many people's opinions on so many bits of paper. And it wasn't just, that small handful of guests that just happened to have been at every single activity and
Yeah.
you've got quite close with. it was a whole room
Yeah, let's say
full of
80%
people,
fill it out.
You knew. Yeah, and then you had like, you know, a few more opinions. It wasn't just everyone going, it was amazing. You had some people going, well, the sound was a bit funny here, or the lighting could have been better there. And then you were like, okay, that's great. Constructive criticism is always welcome, I think, because then you know what you need to work on. Exactly. Like constructive criticism is always a good thing to get. I would much rather that a guest gave me feedback than just walked off and left. Whether the feedback was good or bad, as long as they were nice about how they said it, you need it, because then you know that you're doing either your job correctly or you know that you can improve on something, and that's better than just not hearing anything, which I feel like the CSQs sometimes came through a bit like that, because they'd be like, 20 of your guests filled it in this month.
Yeah, that's very hard.
You're like, well, I have more than 20 guests.
It does sometimes give like a skewed view of what actually was happening, but you do learn from it, and you learn to. I think my last 1-2 seasons I learned to not bring up the CSQs myself, but like plant seeds in the conversation in which they would bring up TripAdvisor or something like this along the conversation, so I could slide in the CSQs. You do learn to work around it, but I think as an entertainer, especially as a team leader, it would help if you would have different ways of getting feedback from the guests, because to be honest, when I was an entertainer, I didn't really